going to do an activity with Lord of the Flies, okay? So everybody needs to take this, and then I'll explain what we are doing. You need a writing utensil for me, please. So at the top, it says, who should survive, which is a major theme in Lord of the Flies as we read through it. So it says, a severe storm has crippled a small ship, the SS Guppy, and the only remaining lifeboat has room for only 7 people. You have no hope of reaching civilization, but there's a fairly good chance that you can make it into one of many small, uncharted, and unpopulated islands in the area. You may have to remain on such an island for years. Your task is to choose which 7 people should be allowed on the lifeboat and hence be allowed to survive. Okay? So there are 11 different people on this list. I am going to give you exactly 5 minutes, okay, to read through this and decide who you would keep. Now don't start yet. Hold on a second here. And then I will break you up into groups of about 4, okay, maybe 5. So then you'll come to a group consensus about which 7 you'll keep. But the one thing that I want to draw your attention to is you need to be able to defend why you have chosen to take certain people and not others. So everybody look up here on the board for me, please. These questions, and this is what third period struggled with a little bit, is what criteria did you use? Meaning, like, what were your standards for keeping people? So what criteria did you use to make your decision? So were you looking for the intelligent people? Were you looking for experienced people, youth? What were you looking for? And then would you choose youth over experience and why? You need to be able to answer those questions, okay? And then obviously the third point here, be ready to defend your argument. So you're going to do this individually first, and then you're going to talk about it as groups, okay? And then we'll go from there. 1, 2, 3, Megan, 4, 5. 1, 2, Ashley, 3, 4, 5. Jovan, 1. Ty, 2. Do with your group. Eyes up here, please. Thank you. All right. So as you go through this, okay, there's 4 people in most of the groups. In groups 1 and 2, there's going to be somebody who's going to have to help out here. But I need somebody in your group to be a recorder, meaning that you are writing down what your group decides is your final group for the island, okay? So you have a recorder. Then you're going to have somebody who is a reporter, meaning they are going to stand up if I call on them. I may not call on every group, but you're going to stand up and tell us who you decided to save and why, okay? What your group talked about. You're going to have a facilitator, meaning somebody in your group who's going to read through each of those and say, okay, did we decide to save Dr. Dane? Did we decide to save Mrs. Dane? And all of those things, okay? So facilitator. And then a moderator, and what I mean by that is somebody who is going to make sure everyone talks kindly to one another and not says, oh, you wanted to save that person? What's wrong with you? Are you stupid? All right? So making sure that we're speaking appropriately to one another. So those are the 4 roles. Real quick in your groups, okay? I'll give you about 20 seconds to decide who's doing what. Hey, if you're the recorder in your group, raise your hand.
Awesome.
Thank you. If you're the reporter in your group, raise your hands. Okay? If you are the facilitator in your group, raise your hand. Perfect. And the lovely moderators. Oh, good. Oh, good. Good. Okay. That's good.
Like the silent ones.
The silent ones pick the moderator. Well, they're going to encourage everyone to be kind. Okay. Now, again, some things that you have to think about, and we're going to talk about this at the end of it, but what criteria did you use? Because, for example, if you saved one spouse but not the other, you also have to think about the psyche of someone. Okay? You can't just look at it black and white, and that's what causes the discussion for this, of saying, well, somebody's not as smart as somebody else. Or, so, yeah, this is really important if you're in the education field, but out in the real world, this might not be an important trait. And so you've got to talk about that. And then talk about would you choose youth over experience. So, facilitators, one of your jobs is to get your group to talk about these 2. What criteria are they using? Now, this is something kind of new. We've done group work before, but we haven't really used these prompts, and this is what I'm going to be looking for. So as each person goes around and says, yep, this is who I'd save, right? This is who I'm going to save. If you have a disagreement or you're talking about somebody, so as a facilitator, who's my facilitator in this group? Okay, so Abby's going to talk about Dr. Dane initially. She's going to read off his credentials and all of that. And if everyone says, yep, we'll save him, okay, let's talk about why. That's great. So somebody talk about why. Now, if I hear any of these prompts, okay, I will give you bonus on today's discussion. So, I don't agree because, or I have a question about, or I predict, I don't understand why you would want to keep him, or could you describe what you mean by he's not mentally capable of surviving, whatever the case might be. Now, just saying.
But they can't learn if
I have a question about
Yeah, that really counts.